Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Graciously Me. My name is Jamila Scott. I am your host tonight. I am also the owner of Jamila Scott Enterprises, founder of Graciously Me, which is a women's empowerment movement that has right about 900 people and counting, women and counting right now. So I just love the fact of being a woman, being a man of purpose. And that is what Conversations with Graciously Me is all about. Tonight, we're actually talking about, we have a wonderful guest. I can't wait to bring him on. We're talking about manhood tonight and the journey from boys to men. So in honor of Father's Day is coming up, I wanted to make sure that we could get him in the room tonight. We talk about all different things in Conversations with Graciously Me. So if you haven't already, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel to make sure you go back and look at the previous shows we've had, as well as make sure you keep up with the shows that's coming up. If you are not already aware, we are sponsored by the Graciously Me Boutique. And so this is where empowered women and their men go to shop for them for luxurious items, for those unique one-of-a-kind pieces, for those items that you just need to self-care, because we all know that self-care is required. This is where they go to shop. So remember to shop Graciously Me by going to shopgraciouslyme.com. I also want to let you know that next week we will have a special guest host. Her name is Nyasha. She is here every third Thursday of the month. I am so excited. She's my sister from across the pond. She is in the UK, but she always brings the fire when she's on. So I'm so glad that she'll be guest hosting all summer long on the third Thursday of the month. So we always have something new. We always have something popping. We always have something going on that you will want to know about. And so without further ado, because I don't even want to drag this conversation on, I'm ready to get right into it. If you're ready to get right into it, type manhood for me. Go ahead and type manhood. If you think that you are someone that may want to join this conversation, go ahead and give StreamYard permission to see your profile picture and your name. What you would do right in the description, just go back to the description if you're in Facebook or YouTube, and go and click, it says give StreamYard permission. You click that link and you come right on back. And that way I'll be able to see who you are, just like Kimberly popped up with manhood. So we know she's ready. So I'll be able to see who you are. I'll be able to see your handsome or beautiful face, and we'll know who we're talking to, because we want you to be interactive tonight. We want you to ask questions. We want you to comment. We want to know what your opinion is, and we want to know who it is that we are talking to. So without further ado, let me introduce my big brother. Yes. At first I was like, I don't know. Should I tell him this is my big brother? Woo, I gave this man a run for his money about 20 something years ago. I think I'm gonna let him tell that a little bit. I'm gonna let him talk about that a little bit. But he loved me all the way through, and he still loves me to this day. He's a honest man. He's a man of integrity. He's a man that loves his family. He's a man that is a man of commitment. He loves God. I could not think of anybody better to bring on to talk about this, as well as he's well educated. You can see he has 2 masters in school counseling and school leadership, and about to get that PhD. I'm speaking that on him. So he is definitely here. He's ready to talk. Welcome to the conversation, Mr. Dionie Lum.
Hey. Hey, Jamila, listen, you know that you set me up. Now I got to show up. So here I am. Since I'm ready to show up. Wow.
Oh, I have no doubt. Doubt that you're going to do justice to this topic.
Yeah.
You're the man of the hour. I've seen you do this thing.
Yeah.
Through adversity. I've seen you with, Absolutely. I've seen you without. You never wavered, even though you might have wanted to, even though you might have, went in the back somewhere. You still, you kept it going. And I just watch you, and I watch how, you interacted with my sister, how you loved her and all of that. And I just, appreciate you being that person, that stable person, that person that was there. So before I keep going on and on and on, because you know I love you, let me let you tell us about
Right.
yourself.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
tell us why you think you're a great person to talk about this topic.
Right. Well, listen. Well, first of all, so one and foremost, thank you, Jamila, so much for even having me on tonight. And listen, everyone, as Jamila said, my name is Dionie Lum. This is my little sister. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. She definitely gave me a run for my money, but that was to make sure that I was good and right to her sister, because when she may have seen something in my attitude at times, she would check me for her sister, and it's all good. And I knew that it was all with purpose. It was all in good standing, and it wasn't out of hate. It was simply out of, listen, I love my sister, and I want to make sure that she has somebody good. And I'm glad that I lived up to that. So, I appreciate that. But with that being said, I have been married now for 25 years. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
25 years. And listen, yeah, absolutely. There are ups, there are downs. But let me tell you something. Your ups are and much more worth celebrating than your downs. And so it's the ups that helps us to get through. And so that's what it's been for 25 years. We have 3 wonderful children, ages 24, 23, and 22. If I'm wrong on the 22, don't beat me, Siani. Daddy loves you. Anyhow, amen. But that's pretty much what it is in our stair steps. And so, as Jamila has said, I have been working in education for the last 20 years. There's a song that says that, started from the bottom, now at the top. And so listen, I'm still working in that, right? Still on a mission. And during this whole journey, I definitely had a mission to make sure that I'm an encourager, make sure that I'm there to see people get through the hardship, help people to navigate through some difficult times and situations. And so I'm appreciative of the journey that I've been on in education. And so pretty much that's what's been going on. And I'm, as Jamila has said, moving into fall, I go into that doctorate, and that's a lot of legwork, but it's all good. It's with purpose. And so I'm encouraged and looking forward to moving in that direction to see what the end result is going to be. And I know it's going to be something great.
Yes. I like to think that I tell you when you would get ready to get married, I cried. I say, God, what are you doing? You take my sister away from me. I was so overprotective. I was so overprotective the day
She's telling the truth,
wedding.
y'all.
I was so overprotective. I'm like, oh, is this right? Is that right? Is that not right? Is this
everything.
right? Everything God had to be perfect,
everything.
Right? So I'm just so to see the years go by,
yes,
and to see even how the impact that you all have, that what you all did for me has still impacted me right now. Amen. I mean, so it's just amazing how your journey of your life, how it takes, and then for us to still be able to be connected.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Just wonderful.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into this thing, because I know people are waiting.
Let's go. Let's get right into it.
Like, how this dude gonna tell me about manhood, right? But we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. That's why we say, go ahead, make sure you get your comments ready, get your questions ready, because we want everybody to be able to participate. Now, what's your definition of being a man?
Wow. Listen, so that's all of these. That's a good question. But for me, it just simply, it comes to the point of where it's a person who is willing to learn, a person who's willing to understand that this journey is not going to be quite cookie cutter like they may have seen in somebody else's life. Manhood is understanding that, that you're going to make mistakes and that it's okay. It's, manhood is, making sure that you understand the importance of your role and making sure that you're trying your best, to be as transparent as possible to your children, to your wife, and the easy answers are making sure you're taking care of responsibility. But, we all understand that that's a part of it, but it's not the biggest part of it as far as responsibilities go. It's the other parts. It's the little things that make you a man and make this manhood journey so interesting. It's the things that we've been told not to talk about. It's the things that we've been told not to share in reference to moments of crying or moments of feeling like I may have failed, or I could be doing better. So it's really being able to acknowledge all of those moments and all those steps in your life to really understand and be able to accept this journey of manhood. I mean, that's really what manhood is about, you know. And I hope that I've answered it. I'll answer it more and more as we go on.
Right, because let's talk a little bit about, and I'm going a little bit off, but as you talk, these are things that's coming to me. And so one of the things that I see as talking with women all the time, being around them, a lot of them talk about a man not having a plan, not having a vision.
Mm-hmm.
And so most women want to be involved with, whether it's business, personal, definitely personal relationship, with a man that has a plan, or at least, you know, even if it hasn't come through yet, that they kind of know where they're going, or they're kind of feeling their way, but you know that they want to at least have a plan. Do you think that that's part of a definition of being a man?
I think that is a setup for disappointment for women to seek to.
Let's talk about that then. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper. Why do you say that?
Right. So I say that because, you know, you have to understand that an individual, and we don't have to say, you know, the man himself, but an individual oftentimes aren't sure of what they want to do. They have an idea. They have an idea of what they want to do, but they're not sure how to get there. Right. Okay. And so oftentimes when you ask a person, well, what do you want to do in life? What do you want to be in life? Well, some people have figured out and some people haven't. What I've learned is that oftentimes when it comes to trying to get to that place, or trying to do better, someone will say, well, like, do you have any plans, any goals? Sometimes the goals that are planned didn't include a woman. It didn't include you, because it could be that person believes that in order to be a man, or to be a person who's successful, not so much having the woman in the picture to help that journey, but to have a woman in the picture to assist the journey. If you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
Right. And so really what I heard you say was there can be disappointment for some women when they feel like, you know, the man doesn't have a plan, but the man didn't have the plan that included you as a part of that. And so that's where sometimes the disappointment may come in. Now, that can be changed, you know, along the journey, but you have to give that individual, you know, some time and some understanding to let them know that's what you want. Like, that's what I'm here for. I'm here because I believe that we can be successful together, and let me be a part of that journey. And some men have been taught that that's not the way you do it. A man is already set up, already established. And then when he's established and already set up, that's when he's able to do what's right for his woman. And, you know, listen, a lot of us would like to see the fairy tale ending, that, you know, that a prince comes and he's already set and he already has things in place and this is what he has. But that's not everybody's reality.
Right.
You know, the reality is that, you know, listen, this journey is long, it's hard, it's trying, it's very taxing, and there will be disappointments, you know, but if we stay in there together, like we'll make it, like we can make it happen. And then for some people, you establish or recognize that, you know, that, hey, this is what we want. We weren't sure what we wanted. It's like going into college, being undecided.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but now that I'm in this thing, yo, I think I might change my major. Well, same thing with the relationship. Listen, we might want to change our goals just a little bit, and, you know, let's rethink this thing. So sometimes
I like that. I like that. I've never kind of heard it being put like that. That they may have a plan, you just may not be in it yet. And you just, and sometimes you just got to get in where you fit in, by seeing some other things. So,
absolutely.
So what then what is how do you become a man of value? What does a man of value look like?
Well, there are examples. Society has painted a picture of what a man should be. But I believe that we understand, or we try to understand, what the best example of manship or manhood is when we look at the lives of others, right? And so for me, I've had an opportunity to see multiple men, you know, to look at the lives, and you know, this goes back from when I was a little child, right? So there are so many men that have played an intricate part in my life, right? from my grandfather, who wasn't my real grandfather, but was my step grandfather, right? My grandmother was with him towards the end, after the first set of kids were born. Then there's my own dad, who went through his things, but that was my boy, I mean, we finally established that relationship. There's my wife's dad who I watch. There's my pastor who I watch. There are some of my boys, my brothers who I watched because we had each other, because we leaned on each other more than we leaned on adults, right? Because, as a youth, you typically seek the counsel of your boys or your friends before you seek the counsel of an adult. And so, so I grabbed a little bit here and a little bit there from a lot of people along the way. And then for me personally, I mean, I think about my relationship with God. I mean, that changed everything. That changed everything. And what I realized is that in my walk with him, there was a lot of humbling days, a lot of humbling nights, a lot of humbling moments. Because although I was looking, I never allowed for things to be explained. So I would look at what an example of a man could be, or a father could be, or, a husband could be, or, but I never asked any questions about it. I watched. And I believe that once, I accepted Christ into my life, like that changed everything, because then I started asking questions. I started asking, what is a good man? What is it, to be a good man? What does it take? And along this journey, I've just learned that, it takes a lot of humbling moments to be into manhood. And it takes you being able to identify where you are sometimes, because at the end of the day, the biggest problem, or the biggest, for me, setup is that to tell men that you should have it all together. You should have the answer, because people are going to look for you for the answer. And what happens is you're asking someone who doesn't even understand how to be a man yet, or how to be a father, or how to be a husband, to provide, or how to be a provider, to provide you with answers that they like. Listen,
I don't know either.
I don't know. Unfortunately, here's the unfortunate. The unfortunate is that that's an opportunity for brothers to check out too, to say, listen, this thing is more than what I thought it was going to be. I'm done.
And out. A lot of men, why do you think a lot of men decide that? Especially as Black men, I know mental health overall in the Black community is always is shunned. It's getting better now. People are saying, go to counseling. Counseling is okay. Go to therapy, so it is getting better. But at one time, it was like, if you went to a counselor, if you went to therapy, something was wrong with you. You're supposed to be able to handle. Do you think that if more of that was done within men, because we always talk about the women doing the work, check yourself, find out if it's something in you, work on you and all of that. So, but I believe that while the woman is doing all of that, that men should also be doing the work. And sometimes, I know you said, an example, having examples, and also having, God in your life, that really, really is what helped. But, some people don't have an example. And some people, so, what would you suggest for the people that didn't have anybody to look up to, or didn't have, where can they go to get better if they notice, I'm giving up a little bit too easy, even with my goals in life, all of that. Like, I'm not where I want to be, but I don't know what to do next.
Right. So it's a couple of answers to this whole thing, right? And so one of the things,
I love you too.
One of the things
talking about you. That's Apple. That's Dionie's wife. She's on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my big sister. But go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things, right? So it's that we don't often talk about the importance of reflection. That's one. All right. So I've lost my other thing, but I'll come back to that. I'll get there. But reflection is one of the things, right? So reflection is one of the tools that should be used often, and we don't do it, right? So my example is simply this, right? So a mirror that we use, a mirror is used for this. A mirror is used for checking, scanning, moving, right? So when we look in the mirror, we check to see if we fly, if we good. All right, we good, we move on, right? And what happens is the reflective moment is for you to check out where you are and to reflect, like, okay, so what I put on or what I did, is it good? It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, you make the corrections. Well, we might be spending time in the mirror, but we're not making any corrections.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So, so we looking, well, this looks good. And then somebody that's close to us may not say, hey, brother, hey, listen, look, this is what's going on, because we try to mind our business,
Right.
So, reflection is a tool that we should use. We don't take advantage of it. I believe it's important for us to do. If we reflect often, it would keep us from being frustrated and working in hurt, walking in hurt, or working in hurt. It would keep us from being bitter, we walk in bitterness. We blaze a trail everywhere we go, and everybody get a piece of that fire. Because we ain't self-checking, self-regulating, or anything like that. And then some of us don't know how to do that, right? And then you say, like, well, what if they don't have certain things, if they don't believe in God, right? And sometimes people don't have that. So when we think about this trauma that is given, or not even recognizing what trauma is, because when you said that, when you talk about, going to therapy, usually therapy is for because something traumatic has happened, right?
Right.
But what often happens is that we don't identify that something traumatic has happened in our life, because for some of us, the house has always been hostile. Like that's how we talk. We all talk with our raised voice. That's just how we talk. Why are you offended? I ain't yelling. I'm just thinking, right?
That sounds like me. I'm like, I'm not loud, knowing I'm loud, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not loud. I'm not. But that's how we always talk.
Right.
So now I kind of gotta. Okay, calm
but to
down.
somebody else, that knows that that's not normal.
Right.
Either they'll say something or they won't say anything. They'll let you keep on going. And it's not until what my struggle or my shortcoming is, until it's identified, that I know that I need to work on it. And the problem is that a lot of people, instead of us being people who help out each other, we let people suffer. We let people go ahead and and struggle and find good people, right? This whole ideal around trauma, especially with adolescents, but it's also for adults. It says that adults and adolescents can get through any traumatic experience with love and caring, right? It helps to build resilience. And so find yourself around people that genuinely care about you, that have your best interests at heart. If you can get to that place, without having a relationship with God, that's something that's going to help carry you throughout your journey of life. Like it'll definitely help support you to make better decisions and to handle situations much better than what you did in the past. Remember, a mirror is just for checking and then moving on. It ain't for checking and not making any corrections. Make the corrections and then move on.
That's a whole word. Like if you didn't say anything else tonight, you have, because a lot of times we look in the mirror and we dress it up. We like, okay, I know this shouldn't be here, but let me put a little this on it.
Just a little bit.
Let me put a little, this shouldn't be here, but and so we try, men and women, try to do things to say, I know this is a little bit out of place. I know I need to work on this, and that, but let me just pretty it up a little bit. Let me just put some swag on it instead of working it out. So don't just look in the mirror. When you look in the mirror and you see yourself, correct yourself. Yeah. And if you don't know how to correct yourself, go to somebody that can help you correct yourself.
How does this look? This look okay?
Exactly. Look, tell me the truth.
Tell me the truth. Well, you probably shouldn't wear that. Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Me going out here looking silly.
Right. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna hook you up with somewhere where you can go. That got something for you. You know what I mean? So we have to look out for each other. So, and you talked a little bit about society and what they, with the labels that they put, the stereotypes on being a man. In your opinion, what does it mean to be a good man? What are some of the qualities that a good man possess? And I'm saying quote unquote because a good man is relative. But some things should kind of be universal. Like when you study people or you look at different examples, like what do you see that threads them all together?
Yeah, I think that, are you helping to make people better? Are you really you know, what are you sowing into people's lives? Like what is it that they gain from you when they leave your presence?
Wow.
Do people feel like, like I just left your presence and I left with something good? Whether it be love, whether it be a word of encouragement, whether it be like, dang, I wasn't even thinking about it like that. You know what I mean? Like
right.
that, because we teach children that it's important to be good contributors to society.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what we I mean, that's what we teach. Right. So, so the idea behind education is to help people to go out and to be, good, people in society, make the world better.
Right.
But, so as a man or or a woman, like, when people come in your presence, are you making a positive impact? That's a good man. You know what I mean? A good man sows good seed.
Right.
A good man doesn't sow bad seed. And that's as simple as it gets. You sow good seed, you don't sow bad seed. And if you sow bad seed, make up for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of times that, because we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
It's no manual guideline to your particular life, So there are always things that you do that are going to be learning moments.
Absolutely.
So, before we leave from here, this realm, we would hope to have put more good in the ground, right, than tearing up. You know
right.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's good. If a good man puts out good seeds,
right?
They put out good wisdom.
Yeah.
They put out good, when they're talking, they're saying, hey, they're checking. If you're older, even at the same age,
Absolutely.
They're giving out good advice, or they're saying, I don't know, or they, you know what I mean?
Right.
That is some good qualities, to have. That's a quote unquote good man. And when Dylan, let's talk about being a quote unquote, again, I say good man in relationships. What does a good man look like? How does a good man treat you? What are you looking for when you say, I want to, and from a man's point of view, because I hear the women all day long, so I can tell you a whole laundry list of things of what women say a good man is. But from a man, what do you consider being a good man in a relationship?
I would almost phrase that like, what do you find the most difficult thing in being a good man is the real question to a woman or in a relationship. I think that's, to me, that I can answer that better.
Okay, well, give me that answer.
Right. And so, I think the most difficult thing is really tapping in to understand what it is that she wants and she desires. And as I said earlier, because I believe that every woman will like that fairy tale, the unfortunate is that, the fairy tale isn't always pretty, right, at the beginning, but essentially it gets to the end. And then for some people, he wasn't supposed to be in your fairy tale.
Right.
You was the wrong person. You got the wrong one. But right. so what helps to become a good man is trying to figure out what are the things that she really appreciates, and that's not an easy task. It's not an easy task because sometimes you would think that you got it on the spot, but you didn't miss it, right? And so, we talk about the 7 love languages and all these things. And so, you learn, like, you have to listen. I think the good thing for me, I mean, I don't always hit the mark. I got children who listen though,
right.
And look, I'm giving air high fives. Amen for my kids. Mommy said, okay. Well, did you hear mommy say that? Because, it's unfortunate. Sometimes our attention is somewhere else, on the TV, watching sports, into a different conversation, into a text, and you miss what was said. And so, if we can, make it our duty to know what it is that person would like to have or what could use in the moment, and try to do it, because like, I'll give you an example. She might be like, here he go talking about me, but somebody might say, well, can you rub my back? And I'm like, I'm dead tired.
Right.
You want me to rub your back right now? Like, like, look, and, sometimes, and there, for me, I've talked up and like, listen, only thing that's rubbing tonight is my head on this pillow. Like, all right, so, right. I think, but those little things go a long way. And so it's really about making the sacrifices. That's what it really is. I know the answer to this. It's right. The willingness to make those sacrifices that benefits her and that benefits everybody. You know what I mean? Like, not just you. So what benefited me in that moment, Jamila, was I was tired. I'm going to sleep. Right. And so who's really benefiting from that, right? I am, but I should have just broke down and go ahead and I should have went on and rubbed it back. So,
Right. Yeah, because you don't know how long you have to pay for that.
And sometimes you do. Sometimes you do know. You like, I'm gonna have to eat that one up.
Right. I'll take that lash, and the sleep will be worth it, right? But I like what you said, because everyone's going to be different. So a good man basically sacrifices for you and takes the time to learn what you want as an individual, what you want, what you need, what's going to benefit both of you all. So a good man will take the time to do that.
And the best part about that, Jamila, I didn't mean to cut you off though, is the little surprises. Like, you didn't think you needed it and you got it. And that right there, listen, that's the home run. That's the touchdown. That's the alley-oop. That's the three-pointer. Those are the things that keep things strong. Is you didn't even realize you needed this, and I was able to provide it for you. Like, I love that. I love those moments. They don't come often enough, but I love them when I get them.
It's worth it when they come.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we got a attentive crowd out here tonight. We're talking about from boys to men, the journey to manhood, as paying homage to Father's Day that's getting ready to come up in a couple of weeks. And we're talking with guest Dionie Lum. I can't answer questions about being a man, so I had to bring a man what I consider a good man in the room. I can talk about womanhood all day, but I cannot be a man, nor do I want to be one. So I know who to call on when I need to get some good manhood information.
I appreciate it.
And you are definitely one of them. And Thank you. I appreciate you here. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you want to give an opinion, or if you want to chime in or anything that we talked about, please go ahead and put that in the comments. I will show that. We will discuss them. So go ahead, be a part of the conversation tonight. Ask those questions, make those comments. Now let's talk. We're talking about from boys to men. So what's the difference? What's the difference between a boy and a man? How do boys grow into men? I hear a lot of times people say, he's just a grown boy. He's walking around, his stature is grown, but he's really a boy. Like, what would you consider, other than the things that we know, age, obviously,
right.
Different mindset, we know that. But when people are talking about these quote unquote grown boys, what makes the difference? Like, what's the difference between the boy and a man? What's the characteristics?
Yeah. So I refer back to when I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Right. And so, that could easily be summed up by, right. You talk about, I said it earlier about, well, you're not taking care of business. Right. So what is the business? Right. The business is making sure that everybody needs are met. Right. Not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference really between, a young man and, a young boy and a man, is that, that young boy doesn't know how to hit all three of those points. Right. That's why I said earlier, like, you learn more and more along the way. And you'll learn more by asking questions as opposed to just, observing, but I think about the conversation that I have with my young men, of my young men's group, the conversations that we've had. And so a lot of the immaturity is because not sure or have a full understanding of what being responsible is, or being held accountable, right? Accountability. Right. What does that even look like? I remember my brother, my boy, I remember having a conversation with him a long time ago. He may not know this or remember this conversation, but I remember saying to him, like, once you get some bills, your attitude changes towards certain things, right? What I was saying was not to go run your credit up to make things bad, but what I was saying was that when you have a new level of responsibility, see, it's one thing to be responsible for taking out the trash, responsible for doing the dishes, responsible for cleaning your room. Right. That's one level of, of responsibilities. But when you have to put money or finances towards things to keep things going, it changes the understanding of what being responsible is. Because now, even if you're single, if you're a man and you're single, the responsibility of having to pay for things, like if you want to have company, you ain't gonna bring them over to the dark.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're not gonna bring company over if you ain't got no cable. Like you're not, like you got to be able to entertain, and so that mindset of responsibility about having to pay for things can change from being a boy to a man. And some of our young men do have that part of it down pat because they are paying bills, paying insurance, but there are certain levels to it, and when you start playing for that place to stay, that's
Right.
a whole different
Yes, it is.
game. But again, that's just one part, because
Right.
you can have a person who's taking care of that stuff, but still needs to mature in those other areas, right? So,
Right.
which is the emotional, which is the spiritual. You need to mature in those aspects, and if you mature in those things, now you're moving into manhood. And most importantly, but even with all that being said, even if I was 60 years old, there's still some things I need to learn about being a man.
Wow.
So I'm not established, right?
Right. Right.
So you know what I mean? And so each year that I grow in age is each year that I've had to learn something else.
Yes.
So I had to go from one level to another level each year with the willingness and the desire to want to learn as I go or learn as I grow, right? That's
Right.
really what it is. And so a lot of times, sometimes I'll just say sometimes for some of our young men, the learning stopped somewhere midway through schooling from pre-K, through to 12th grade, like somewhere along the way, it slowed down a little bit, right?
Right.
Other things became more important, and other things, intruded, your time, your space of growing, dad not being around, dad was there in and out. Mom couldn't do it no more. Grandma or grandpa had to step in. Like all those things play significant roles into deterring us from growth and progressing in life into this manhood. There are so many things, Jamila. Like, wow, I just think about the things that our kids deal with, right? And think about phone calls that I get from grandparents, and just like, to me, I've always said that grandparents they've already lived their life. They've lived their parenthood life already.
Right.
They have to go through it again with their children's children. Like it's like, wow, like you're raising somebody all over again from scratch. And we already know as adults and as parents, that journey in itself is something else. So with that being said, there are so many things that happen along the way that keeps us from developing into manhood the way that we should. But everybody has a different journey. So, when you made that statement earlier about women like seeing like, man, and he might be fine, and well, he might be built like a man, but he sure don't think like one.
Right.
Because something has happened that is keeping that growth from happening in his life, right? So something occurred in his life that is keeping that growth, but he's not going to know unless somebody shares that with him. Now, a woman can share that with him. She can share what she believes her idea of a man is, or what she's seen as examples of a man. I think oftentimes men are compared to women's fathers. If their father is a good father, if he's a good husband, right? Or often, now somebody could argue and say, well, that's not fair. But it is fair for the woman, because at least she has made an expectation for herself of what she should. The unfortunate is that sometimes a man can't live up to that expectation. They can't live up to whatever that idea of that prince should be.
Right.
And so then the disappointment comes with the woman, like, this guy,
Right.
look, you girl, pray for me. Like, girl, listen, those conversations happen because of disappointment. But the man child, like, outside appearance, it's almost like the fig tree, right? It's like, you the tree you bearing, like, you look like, I see the fruit, I see the leaves, but you ain't real, right? And there's a reason for why that young man isn't quite there yet. And I would say to any sister, like, don't try to be the person to fix that either.
Yeah.
That's a whole different conversation, but that's really stepping out of your zone.
Well, no, it's not, because I was getting ready to talk about and touch on. You going right, you flowing right in this thing. That's why I really am. I'm just listening, soaking it in. Because that's what I was getting ready to talk about. Men and confidence, and how they can have be more confident. And I mean confident without being cocky, without being, because to me, that's one of the biggest, I hate it. When I tell you I hate it with a passion, as a man that just have to tell me every time, I got this, I drive that. This is what I can see all of that. You know what I mean? Right. And I'm glad you have that. I have noted that in my mental notes. Like, I have that written. I see that you were able to obtain X, Y, and Z. And believe me, I have that noted. But I don't want to hear it all the time about what you have and what you know. And so it's just total. So that's what I mean by the cockiness of it.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? But I have seen the other side as well, where, Steve Harvey, and a lot of people, some people say he need to shut up. Some people say he's, talking good. Either way, I have found, talking to different people, that when they say a man has his money together, he has his goal, he has this vision that he's working on, and he feels like he's gotten to a certain point with that, then that is normally the best time for him to bring someone else in, when he has that together. And part of that is being confident. And when a man has broken confidence, just like the cockiness is easy to pick up on, the low esteem and low confidence is also easy to pick up on. So, but I mean, I would think that a man would really need that confidence to be the man. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, so, there are a couple of things that you said, though, but you said something that was but you said what you like.
Right. That's all I can talk about.
Because
about me and what I've heard, what I'm talking
some
about.
women, some women like that.
They do. And you're
right.
Absolutely
And so,
right.
And so we can't fault them for liking that. That's what they like.
True.
Right. But what we understand is that whatever you like comes with something. Yeah. Like, nobody is getting something that doesn't come with anything.
Yeah.
So best believe
you gotta choose your heart, right? So
well, I mean, because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect, right?
Right.
So you said something I even think about for my daughters, right? So here I am talking about a good man, but the question could be like, well, what would you want for your girls? Like, what do you want them to have? Like, what do you want them to have in a man?
Question. Go ahead and answer that for me.
And so, but here's the thing. So I deal with high school students. I deal with young men all the time. And so when I meet who they're talking to, I can see if they're a good person or not. I need you to have a good person. I would love for my daughters to be a husband or wife to somebody that has a nice house. I would love for that to be. But I also understand that that's at different age levels. Right. Now, my daughter can't be 40 years old messing with a guy who's still trying to get like that. That becomes questionable.
Right.
Like, hold up, listen, what you ain't going to do is all the legwork.
Right. Exactly.
Right. But if we're talking about 20-year-old, children, because you still are, we're talking about, or 20-year-old young adults, and we're talking about that, and we're talking about who they're dating. What I'm trying to figure out, is he a good person? Because that right there trumps everything. Like, is he a good person? Is he trying to do what's right? Or is he one of these, young brothers who just, who's not doing right, won't do right, and don't care to do right? And when they see you, don't know how to address you, right? And I can even give you a pass on that to a certain degree. Like, okay, well, maybe some examples weren't set before him. But if I don't see that you're a good person, that's where, I'm like, Lord, remove this thing as soon as possible. Right. Because what I don't want to happen is I don't want my daughters to go through unnecessary heartache. Listen, the writing's on the wall, right? So I can't come forceful and say, listen, you need to stop messing with that person. my prayer is that your eyes are open to see what I see. And you know, we've been blessed because it's happened. You know, like we've seen some things. We're like, Lord, you know, can you move? And the Lord has moved. And you know, and even the person may have been a good person. The young man was a good man. It just wasn't the right fit.
Right.
You know, so you
Well,
know,
now let's swing it the other side.
okay.
Because we talked about the relationship. Now let's swing it the other side. When you're talking about establishing for yourself, talking about a career, you're talking about, you know, because all of us are going to get some no's. We're going to have to learn how to take the no's. We're going to have to learn how to keep going.
Unfortunately, yes.
That just builds up our stamina, you know, to see how bad do you really want this thing.
Yeah.
Is one no going to knock you out of here, or you know, or what you know. So when I know you're with the teenagers, and then you know, you're also with, you know, the older men. You hear how as a man would you tell another man that has taken a hard knock, but not let it get them down so where they can't continue? Like how does a man deal with, and that's the other part of confidence, like when they've given it all they could and they still didn't get the job, or they given it all they could and the grant still wasn't approved. You know what I mean? Like then what do you do?
Lord, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You know what? So I will tell you that I know that all too well. I know that all too well. You know, and what I'm constantly reminded of is purpose. Like purpose really changes everything. Look, I definitely would like the bump up, right? Like, you know, a brother could use that. You know, we could use that bump up, right? Because what that bump up does is it provides other things for your family. It provides other things for, you know, your future, right? And so we would all want that, because that's, you know, some of us are working towards that anyway. Like, you know, we want to be better today than what we were yesterday. Not just, you know, emotionally, socially, you know, physically and spiritually, but, you know, financially as well. Like we would like to be better today than what we were yesterday. But for most of the people that I come in contact with and come and have those conversations with, you know, like Miles Monroe, and I don't know if some of you know who that person is, but Dr. Miles Monroe talked about, you know, the work.
Yes.
Right. So like my job pays me to do what I do, but the work is to encourage. The work is encouraging other people. The work is, you know, sowing good seed into people. The work is saying that, listen, I know it's rough, but it's going to be all right. The work is, hey, listen, I know things didn't go well, but, you know, but it's going to be all right, because look, you've already established these things. Like you've already established this. So just get ready for whatever the next move is for you. Right. Because that didn't go the way you expected. And, you know, sometimes, listen, and I'm guilty, right? I've sown all my seeds. Listen, everything. I'm vested.
Yeah.
Because I think the bumper crop is about to happen, and then it doesn't happen. And then I'm gently reminded of the work, you know, like, you know, the work, though, the work is important. The increase will come, but the work has to be done. And a lot of times we pay more attention to the increase than the work. Right? What was first priority? You know what I mean? Like, you know, so whatever our first priority was, somewhere along the lines or somewhere along the journey, our eyes shifted to something else. Right. And so, you know, our goal became something else. Our goal became, you know, the finances, as opposed to it being the actual work itself. And so I remember some years ago, the Lord just simply spoke to me like, you know, you're not here to kiss anybody's behind. You're here to encourage people. You're here to make sure that people get an encouraged word, because there are a lot of people who are hurting. And our youth, listen, they wear the biggest masks every day.
Yeah.
And so what they've learned how to do, they've learned how to perfect coping, not healthy coping, but coping, to make it like nothing's going on. That when we hear the information, we're like, oh my God, they live where?
Wow.
Like, you don't know. And they come do their work every day. Some of them are still achieving they're still high achievers. I ain't know none of that was going on. Wow. You know what I mean? And so, you know, but they don't do it healthy. And so that's the work. I would encourage anybody who's going through something, who maybe didn't get that position or didn't get that bump the way that they wanted to, or they thought that they deserved it. And a lot of times you feel like you're passed over and you just wonder what's going on. But, you know, if I can encourage anybody tonight, I would say, you know, just make sure that you stay committed to the work.
Yes.
Stay committed to the work, because if you stay committed to the work, you're going to do a great job.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. So that means that when you hit a bump in the road, your purpose should be able to carry you over that bump. You should be able to, after a little while, dust it off.
So it's that reflective moment again. Listen.
Yeah.
Let me pause for station identification.
Right.
You know,
I'm still the man. I'm still, you know, I'm still that dude.
Yeah.
I just gonna go a different way about it.
Yes. Yep. Right. And guess what? Now for some of us, that process is a little longer than for others. And it takes time to get there. But you know, after being passed over a few times, you know, you start to understand how this thing really works. Right. And how it really works is like, you know, okay, but you know, at the end of the day, listen, I still make pretty good cheese. You know, we're not hurting for anything.
Right.
You know, it just would be nice to get that bump, and that bump will come. So I'm gonna stay committed to the work, wherever that work might be. I'm gonna stay committed to it.
I love it. I love it. Now I can't believe our time is almost actually up.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, this conversation has been off the chain. I'm not a man, but I have taken in some notes for my son. I have a 16-year-old, soon to be 17-year-old. So I have definitely taken in nuggets for him. I've taken in nuggets for when I'm doing makeup and, you know, somebody's telling me what's going on in their life. I got a little bit more I can say now.
Well, listen, you know, take it and run with it.
Point of view. Exactly. But before we get out of here, again, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, I'm trying to open the floor to you all before we get out of here. Go ahead and make those. I'll be sure to be looking at the comments. If you see me glassing over, that's what I'm doing. But before we get out of here, I want to talk about two things. Let's talk about a little bit about masculinity. Okay. And what's the difference? What is it, first of all? Then what's the difference of toxic masculinity and healthy masculinity? And then I want to know more about your Boys to Men program and how we can support. So we're going to talk about those two things. Then we're going to wrap it on up.
So what is masculinity, right? And you said positive and negative. Is that what you said? I want to make sure.
Toxic. Like what is a toxic? Can it become toxic? And if it can, what does that look like? And what does healthy masculinity look like?
I still think it kind of runs around the same thing. So there's a football player that said some years ago the difference between being cocky and being confidence, right?
Right.
And so being confident is knowing that, you know, knowing who you are, knowing whose you are, and then walking with a sense of pride, a sense of it. Not walking in pride, but walking with a sense of pride, right? Meaning that I have some expectations and some things, some boundaries that I've set for myself, right? The toxic is, or what we consider, or what we can call toxic masculinity is where it doesn't matter who I affect. It doesn't matter who I bother. I'm here. I'm here, baby. Hey, I'm here. No matter. It doesn't matter who. You know, it doesn't matter what I say. What? I hurt your feelings. Oh, that's where you are. Oh, you and your duffel. Oh, really? Okay. Right. You know, I mean, like that kind of thing. Like, so, you know, that to me, that is like it's back to what you said about, you know, don't tell me about what kind of car you drive. Don't tell me about the $500,000 home that you're living in. Like all those things. Okay, I hear you, but that doesn't move me, right?
Right.
And so, you know, I think that toxic person is the person who has a negative effect on people. They're sowing bad seed. That when people see you, they don't want to be around you because they can't even tolerate you. And it's easy for you to pick up on if you know, if there's a bad vibe. What's up with them? They roll. What? Well, maybe it's something wrong with them. Could be, but it might be something wrong with you. So again, time to pause for station identification, time to reflect, time to check yourself in the mirror, or to ask somebody close to you, yo, what's up with, you know, is there something up with me? And somebody might be able to tell you the truth. You know, if they really love you, they will tell you the truth. If they love you.
sum it up for me. What does it mean? What does it mean to go from a boy to a man? What is sum up the journey of manhood before we talk about your program?
Yeah,
If you want to
absolutely.
leave us with anything, how would you sum it all up?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I could say that this is for most Black males, but I'm learning that is for most males, period, right? Is really understanding how to advocate for yourself, like how to talk for yourself. Oftentimes we're given opportunities to speak for ourselves or to speak on our behalf, and we don't know how to articulate our words. There is Nikki Giovanni said, like I really, she said, Jesus is cool with me in the sense that when I was younger in church, we were asked as kids to either sing, to say scripture, or to recite scripture, right?
Right.
We were or a poem or something. We were asked to do that, and it always put us in the forefront to speak in front of people, to address people. It helped us with forward thinking. So going from boys and men is getting to that place that where forward thinking is being utilized, and also to be an advocate for yourself. Like, how do I speak for myself, on my behalf? Because the problem with most men, with some of us, man, I can't say most because that's a large number or a large sum, but for some of us is that we don't have a voice or we don't know how to use our voice.
Good. Now tell us about the program that you have,
Yes.
and how we can support, because I want to be able to do that.
Right. So a few years ago, started this program. It was called something else, and then somebody was like, "Listen, you got to change that name." So we changed it to Boys and Men, and there's already a program that is known for boys and men, and we're not a part of that. But what we do is it's really interesting because there's an opportunity for a contract signing moment. There's an opportunity for for us and the young men who have been chosen. The students may struggle academically, may struggle with attendance. They may struggle, with discipline. And so, there's a moment that, I asked each person if they're interested in doing this. The parents receive a letter about the actual program. And when we meet, and, we have guest speakers come in, speakers who range from, right out of high school to, who are experts in their field of work. They come in, have these conversations. There's a contract signing moment that where both the advisors of the program and the students, sign a contract. The students' contracts say that, that they are willing to put forth the work to learn how to advocate and to, set themselves up for the right path, whether it be college or career. The advisors are signing a contract that are saying that we are committed to you. Like, that's our responsibility. Our duties is to be committed to you, to make sure that you make your way through this, through this building, and you're walking across that stage one day, and to hopefully, to move into whatever it is that you desire to move into, whether it be entrepreneurship, whether it's school, or it's a career, right out of right out of high school. And so, how can you support that?
Yes, that's what we need to know.
Now listen. You can always send donations to Dionie Lum.
Right.
You can always send them to me.
Now I'll make sure that after this, I need you to give me all of those ways so that I can put it on the description.
Absolutely. I'll you can send it to me. You can send it to the school that I'm currently at. That would help. It would go into an account that we have set up. None of this is gain for me, but this is all gain for the kids. So these are college trips. These are trips to to places of business, to see how whatever the student's interest is.
Right.
And I've received some great help from other district administrators, people in the community that have been helping this work to go forth, and I appreciate all of them for what they're doing. And just a quick shout out to my brother Mark Rogers. Solid, standing on life isn't death. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for your commitment.
All righty. Well, I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you so much. Tonight was enlightening. We did not have enough time at all. I could have.
True. We could keep on doing.
I could have kept this going. This was very, very good. The information you gave about purpose, about doing the work, about not only looking in the mirror and checking, but correcting. That is so important, and about, being able to have that confidence to go on and to let the hurdles not stop you, but recognize what you have done already and
That's
that
right.
there's more than one way to get to a destination. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So this journey of you talking about has been so interesting to me and very eye-opening. I want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight in the
Yeah,
conversation
absolutely.
room.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me.
No problem at all.
I'll come back in the future, you know.
Yes, yes. I hope you will want to come back. I hope
Yeah,
you had a good
absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a great time.
Good, good. Well,
You
I'm going
know?
to put you in the green room for a moment.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I'll be sure to put all of the information so everyone knows how to donate on all the platforms. I'll be sure to do that, and I will be donating as well. I love what you're doing. We need as many men as possible to put those good things into the boys that's coming up, because they need that, you know. And so if I can sow that good seed, I'll do that, and we want the viewers to do the same thing. So hold on one moment. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, everyone. Tonight was wow. It was really, really a night to really listen, especially as a woman, to be able to hear from a man his side. Hear at least one. He is one man. You know, there's more than one opinion, but a lot of times we, don't even give the men a chance to voice with their opinions, how they feel. And you can learn a lot when you do that. So I just want to say thank you for being live tonight as we talked about the journey to manhood. We know that's continuous. You can be 60, 70, 80 and still be on that journey to manhood. And talking about going from boys to men. You need people, you need relationships, you need good people that's putting in good wisdom into you, no matter if you're a man or a woman. So we should just kind of, be a little bit easy on each other. Don't be so hard all the time, on each other. All of us are learning. All of us are striving. All of us are moving into new dimensions as we grow, as we get older, as we experience. So tonight was awesome. I'm so glad you were here. If you're watching the replay, just type #replay to let me know you were here so we can show you some love as well. Also, again, like the page, like Conversations with Graciously Me page on Facebook. We have conversations every Thursday. Next week, our guest host, again, Niasha, will be here. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're a lady, join our empowerment group, which is Graciously Me on Facebook. Shop. Go to the boutique. Go to www.shopgraciouslyme.com. There's some good stuff over there. So if you're looking for a gift for a lady, that's a good place to shop. Ladies, if you're looking for unique finds, make sure you stop over there. Again, I want you all to enjoy your evening, enjoy your weekend, and remember, in a world where you can be anything, always, always, always choose to be yourself, because no one can beat you at being you. Have a good night.